Good morning. My name is Pierre Conradie. I'm an electrical engineer and I do electrical consulting work for a specialized solar system. And what I would like to do this morning is give you a very short lecture on earthing. The main question what one must ask yourself when you look at it is, why do you need earthing? Often when you study a subject, you make it very complicated for yourself and then you don't remember it. So I think it's important to understand why we need earthing. If you look at basic forms of earthing, the first and simplest one is what we call bonding. If you think about a domestic house, you would have noticed that all the taps and the basins, etc., are bonded with a piece of copper wire. They actually call it bandit strapping because it looks like a face mask of a bandit with holes, a strip with a lot of holes in it. And the reason you do that is that if you bond everything and you bond it to earth, if that object becomes alive, the potential will be throughout the same. And you can only be shocked if you touch two places at a different potential. So if you take your two hands and you touch here and you touch there and there's no potential difference, you won't be shocked. So if it's solidly earthed and the earth is adequate, the potential here will be exactly the same as that. And that's what we call bonding. So that's one of the prime reasons why we earth subjects or objects. But when you look at your type of insulation, where you've got solar panels, you've got inverters, you've got combiner boxes, etc., you've got an AC board, there's also another reason why you earth something. And the main reason is if that object becomes live and there's leakage to earth, you want that insulation to be isolated. So to understand that, you need to go to the basics of the supply. And I'm going to draw a little picture for you. If you look at the transformer at the supply point, on the low voltage side, that transformer is connected in star. And that's your phases going out. And let's call that phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3. You would probably know it as red, white and blue. And then you've got a neutral conductor coming out as well. And at the transformer, that star point is solidly earthed. Okay? And the value of that resistance would be in the order of between 1 and 5 ohms, but preferably not more than 5 ohms. And you'll understand later on why that value of that resistance play a role. So if you had a three-phase circuit breaker, I'm just going to draw a little cross in each one of those phases, and you take that neutral through to load, and you take that phase through to load, and let's say you've got a single phase load there to neutral, and over here you've got a load to neutral, and from there you've got a load to neutral. So these are your three-phase loads. So let's call that R1, R2 and R3. Now in the house, this could be an appliance, and that appliance will have either double isolation, meaning it's got plastic around it that provides and affords you double insulation, or it could be metal. Now the problem is, if there's leakage in here, that's your neutral, that's your live. Now let's say somewhere here there's a short to that metal casing. Now the earth wire, normally in a distribution system, they call it a combined neutral and earth. In other words, they use the neutral also as an earth wire. But at the house, you would have an earth spike here, normally. And that earth spike could be bonded there. There's one type of system that you can bond it there, but you'll take a wire through and you'll connect it to that. So that will be your continuous wire in your system. So now what would happen is that if there's a leakage to earth here, the current always has to flow a path. You can never have current flowing if there's not a continued path. So what will effectively happen, the current will now flow, because that is now live, and the voltage to neutral will be 230 volts. It would be between phases, it would be 400 volts. But between phase and neutral, it will be 230 volts. So now what you'd have is you'll have a leakage current here. And that leakage current will flow from here, depending on the resistance or impedance of that resistance, will decide on the value of that current. But that current, if you take a path now, and you draw the entire path of that current, you can see the current will now flow from the live here. It will flow through here, it will flow through there, it will flow through there, it will flow there, and it will flow here, okay? And through that metalwork, it will flow through there, and it will flow through the earth here, which is bonded there. And you can see you've got a complete path now back to that earth here. Bearing in mind that if you earth it here, there's quite a fallacy about the earth's resistance. The earth is like this. So if you put an earth spike in here, and you put an earth spike in there, it doesn't matter how far they are. The resistance between there in the earth will be 0 ohms. And the reason is this earth is so massive in diameter, if you take resistance in parallel, there's millions of them. So the more resistance you put in parallel, the lower the resistance. So the earth's resistance doesn't play a role. What plays a role is the contact resistance of the spike. If you look at the spike on its own, you hit it into the ground, but there's contact resistance between that and the earth. Let's draw it like that again. And that is the value of your resistance. It's the contact resistance between the spike and that's why you need to bring that down as low as possible, because that path is 0. So if you look at another circuit here, instead of it flowing through that neutral, if you've earthed it here, you'll also have a path through here, all the way back to this earth over here. So now you can see you have a continuous circuit. You can't have current flowing unless you have a continuous circuit. So with this earth, this breaker will now see the current, okay? Because you can see now that breaker there is in series with that supply. So this breaker will pick up that current. And if the current is very high, it will trip. But if that leakage is quite small, it won't pick it up. So what they do domestically, they put another little relay, a gadget in here. They put a current transformer in here, and they got another circuit here that's very sensitive that can pick up a difference of 40 milliamps. And that is connected to that breaker. So this little device, which is an earth leakage relay, that will pick up currents as small as 40 milliamps to isolate that breaker. So if you didn't have this earthing, that relay wouldn't have picked it up, and that casing would have stayed alive. So if you had a person standing there with his feet on the ground and he touched that metal casing, he would be shocked. And the reason they limit it to 40 amps is because that they consider the maximum current before your body can go into contraction, your heart, and you will die. So that is the other reason for earthing. It is to ensure that if you've got a leakage to earth, that the system will isolate itself. Otherwise, that object will stay live all the time. And it's not only dangerous to the people working on it, it's also dangerous for your electronic equipment. So if you had an inverter, that inverter would have stayed, the metal casing would have stayed live. And bear in mind that you've got printed circuit boards in there, you've got electronic equipment that's very, very sensitive. So you don't want any of those components to be exposed to an earth leakage current. So that's the two reasons you always have earthing. The one is to bond it so that the potential remains the same and you don't get shocked or electrocuted. And the second reason is to isolate the system if there's a leakage current to earth. So those are the two main reasons. Now, when you look at your specific type of equipment, one has to be very careful in applying the earth philosophy, because most inverters don't want the primary and the secondary earth connected to one another because of the electronics and the way it operates. So in the case of like the Victron inverter, they have a switch inside that automatically will create an earth path. With SunSync, you have to fit an external earth fault relay to create that earth on the secondary side, because effectively what you've got is you've got a box, which is your inverter, and you've got your AC coming in here, which could be 2 phases, and you've got your phases going out. So when that gets disconnected, like for example during load shedding, you're now on your own because you've got an inverter here and you've got PV panels and you've got a battery. So effectively here you've actually got a source of energy. It's like a little generator, and that generator is disconnected from here. So in order for the protection to work here, for the breaker and the earth leakage to work here, you've got to create that continuous earth path. And that's why your inverter is fitted with its own neutral earthing relay. It will earth the neutral, so that and it will create the earth, so that you have that system. So you can forget about that, and you can see this on its own. So your source here needs to emulate what's over here, and that's why you have to have that. The value of the earth is important because you can imagine the higher that resistance is here to earth, the lower that current is going to be. So you need to make that resistance as low as you can, and you need to make the conductor of the right size, because when you've got earth fault current flowing, that earth fault can be very high. So if you've got a small conductor, that conductor will act as a fuse and it will just burn off, and we often see it. When we open equipment, we see the earth wires are burnt off, and that is because they weren't the correct size. Because what you need to remember, when you've got an earth fault current, the current is very high, or the fault current is very high, because effectively you're causing a dead short on that supply. And the only limitation in that current will be the impedance of the source. The difference between impedance and resistance is that impedance is what we call AC resistance, because in AC circuits you also have inductance and capacitance, which doesn't play a role when you've got a DC circuit. So that impedance is now very low, and so therefore it's like taking a car battery and you're shorting the terminals out. That current that will flow is very high. Now in the case of your inverter system, the impedance of that inverter is quite high. So your fault current will invariably be the same as the load current, and you need to take cognizance of that as well. It's not the same as it's connected to the mains. It's now connected to a source with a very much higher internal impedance, so the fault current that will flow will be very much lower. So you've got to take that into account in your design in terms of your protection of your system. So when you look at the earth, the resistance of the earth is important, but also the current capacity of the conductors. So normally when you do a PV installation, you would bond your panels with maybe a 6mm copper conductor, and your down conductor would be like at least 16mm. I always prefer to have 2 down conductors, one as a main and one as a reserve. And then everything gets connected to that, and that must go into an earth spike. The question often asked is that, can you use the mains earth? Do you have to have a separate earth? Most cases I prefer to share the earth with the mains earth. I would normally have the mains earth tested, and if it's less than 5 ohms, then I would invariably decide to connect it to that. But if it's not low enough, you have to create additional earthing through earth spikes or a trench earth, and I normally bond it to the mains earth. And the reason I do that is because it's very difficult to separate it. It's nearly impossible to separate those earths, because you've got metal boxes and stuff like that, and invariably that will connect the systems together with one another. So just to recap, you've got 2 types of earth protection. The one is the bonding part, and the second part is the earth path that you create to make sure your system gets isolated. What's very important is you need to analyze the type of earth system that you need for your particular application, and you've got to take into account the current that will flow, and you need to take into account the size of the conductors. That's the end of my first lecture.